But Joey Gase knows this is a place that he can put his car in that lead pack and be a part of the story at the end of the day.
Presenting your host for the RaceCoin Podcast, Jay.
What's going on, everyone? I'm your host, Jay, and I'd like to welcome you to the RaceCoin Podcast. On episode 1, we have Joey Gase, a NASCAR driver and an advocate for organ donation. Welcome to the show, Joey.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So let's kick it off, Joey. I mean, one of the first things that you've been doing for quite a long time now is spreading awareness about organ donation. Can you share a story about, how you got into that and why it's made such a big impact and how it can have such a big impact on so many lives?
Yeah, organ donation is something that's really important to me and thousands and thousands of other people across the U.S. and in the whole world. Right now in the U.S., there's about 115,000 people on the wait list. I don't know what that number is across the world, but I know it's a really, really high one. And with that being said, those people that are on the wait list, if they don't receive a life-saving organ, unfortunately, they're gonna tragically lose their life. And that's gonna obviously affect them, but also all the people that are connected to them as well. So but the reason why I'm so involved in it and why I'm so connected to it is that in April 2011, my mom lost her life from a brain aneurysm. And when that happened, the doctors asked us if she'd like to be a organ tissue donor. And at that time, it was something we never really talked about a lot or that I really knew a whole lot about. Yeah. But we knew she could no longer continue her life. She would want to do whatever she could to help others continue theirs. So we said yes, and later we found out that she was able to help save and improve the lives of 66 people, which was amazing to us. We thought it could only be 1 or 2. We didn't know how many people it could really affect from her organs, her eyes, and her tissues. And so ever since that day happened, I wanted to do whatever I could to help raise awareness for organ donation, but not only that, but also honor all those affected by it. So we obviously want people to go sign up, but not only that, we also want people to talk about it with their loved ones. Like with my mom's situation, we didn't have her driver's license with us, and here in the U.S., that's where normally you sign up to be an organ donor.
Yeah.
And since it was something we never talked about before, it was more of a hard decision. But so we want people not only to make the decision when they go sign up, we also want them to talk about it with their loved ones. So if they're ever in the same situation that my family and I were in, that decision already be made and they already know what their loved ones want. And besides that, I do a lot to promote it and honor those on my race car. And how we do that a couple different ways. We actually put honoree photos on the race car, and it lets people know that once you're a donor, you're never forgotten, and let their family know that they're not forgotten. And also besides that, we do a cool event called Handprints of Hope. And when we do that, we actually take the car that I'm racing that weekend to either a children's hospital, a high school, or really anywhere. And we let anyone that's connected to organ donation in any way, shape, or form actually paint their hand and physically put their handprint on my race car and write a small message.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember something like that happening when in primary school, like people used to draw trees like that by placing their handprints on the wall and stuff and drawing that. So I think that's such an awesome idea. Yeah.
Yeah, and it gets a lot of people involved, and it can be a really healing moment for those who are their loved one was an organ donor or if they're a recipient, and kind of like writing a letter to them almost. And it turns a lot of heads at the racetrack because it's really rare to have obviously handprints all over a race car. So a lot of people stop and ask us and ask that's what it's about, and we get to tell them what it's about and raise a lot of awareness. So it's something that works out really well for us.
Yeah, I mean, that's so awesome. And I love that you have a cause beyond, just racing as well. So from now, obviously the racing front, that gives you that platform to do it. It's as a professional racer yourself, do you feel like you're living the dream and have now got to where you want to be in the racing world?
I definitely say I'm living the dream, and this is what I always wanted to do ever since I was a little kid. It's something I kind of always knew that I was going to do some way, shape, or form, but I never knew how I was going to do it or get here, I guess you can say. And it's it's been a crazy ride. I definitely don't I don't think I'm exactly where I want to be yet. My goal is to be, full time in the Cup Series and always, win a championship, which is a really lofty goal, and a very, very few people get to do that. But
Of course, yeah.
I'm working hard on continuing my dream, and there's a lot of people that helped me get where I am today. A lot of people that are continuing to help me along the way. So it's really cool to see how far we come from just from some kid from Iowa, I guess you can say.
Yeah, of course, of course. I mean, more recently, I mean, in 2017, you joined and started the Daytona 500. How's that been, and what is it really like to be behind a wheel? Like, a lot of people obviously only get to see it from the sidelines, get to cheer you on, and live their dream of maybe driving professionally through someone like you. So, what is it really like?
It's pretty crazy. I mean, once you're I mean, in the car, your whole mindset changes, and you're just out there to go win and do as best as you can. And before then, like doing the driver intros and taking the ride around the track and in the truck, and just seeing the hundreds of thousand people there, and knowing how many millions are watching on TV, and having the flashbacks of myself being a little kid and watching the same race at my grandparents' house. It was pretty surreal knowing that I was there and actually racing in that race that day, and knowing I had no idea how the outcome was going to be. But luckily, it
Yeah.
was a rough day for a lot of people. But I was a rookie, and I was the highest finishing rookie in that race. And the other kind of crazy thing was I finished 23rd, and my card number was 23. So it's kind of crazy how that all worked
Yeah.
out.
It's weird. I mean, like, one of the things that you never really wrap your head around is what kind of role pressure plays, and how much pressure affects you as a driver. I mean, is that something you have to deal with on a daily basis, or is that something as soon as you're on the track you feel it? When does it really kick in?
I mean, it definitely kicks in. I mean, I think uh, always, pretty much. And
Yeah.
for me, it's something that I just try not to focus on or think about that much, and just try to stay as loose as I can, I guess you can say. But normally, once you're in the race car, it kind of disappear, and that's the great thing about being a race car driver. I feel like a lot of your pressures in life going on and all that kind of stuff kind of go away once you sit in the seat, and you're just focusing on that one thing, and everything else kind of goes away. It's kind of like your little hideout almost. Even though you have millions of people watching, it's I guess
Yeah.
your own little zone, you can
In the
say.
zone, right? Yeah, there's nothing else
Yeah.
going on. It's you, the car, and that's it. Like, you can't really go anywhere else, do anything else. Like, you're only thinking about that and nothing else at the time. I
Yeah,
guess I guess
exactly.
I can see how that can be liberating as well, in a sense. But that's the thing. Most people only get to see you behind the wheel and really just see you for, let's say, a couple of hours, and see what performance you have and things like that. But they don't get to see a typical week in the life of Joey. Like, what is it like? What do you do to train? What does it actually take to be on that track in the first place?
Right. Yeah, that's like I said, being a race car driver is something that I always wanted to be, and wanted to be when I was growing up. But it's not what everyone else always necessarily thinks it is.
Hmm.
There's a lot on the business side and a lot of other work that goes into it, other than just driving the car, from getting the sponsors, and making sure you keep your sponsors happy, and preparing for a sponsors event, and appearances and media stuff all throughout the week, and the off season as well. But as far as training goes, I mean, I go to a trainer, 3 or 4 times a week, and do a lot of cardio, and I mean, there's a lot of specific muscles you use in the race car that you really don't use any other time. I mean, especially your neck muscles is the really big thing you work on from all the
Yeah.
G's, and honing your head up for 4 hours. And then I mean, obviously your forearm muscles and your reaction time, and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
being a race car driver, having a high reaction time is one of the most important things. But not only you can't only have a high reaction time, you also kind of got to know, I guess, what to do with it, and not to panic, because you could have the highest reaction time but panic, and that could be just as big as a problem if you
Yeah.
step on the brakes too hard or swerve to the right and just stuff like that. So
So what do
kind
you,
of
I mean,
knowing.
can I pause you there and just ask a few
Yeah.
questions about that? Like break it down for me. Like in terms of reaction time, for example, is there something you do? Like, I don't know, the first thing that comes to my head, it sounds so ridiculous, but whack-a-mole, right? Like it's a reaction game. Or like, you know, for calmness, what do you do? Like, do you meditate? How do you really relax and calm your mind and, you know, don't panic, as you just said?
Right. There's lots of things to do, especially for like the super speedways. I watch a lot of film and a lot of tape and just kind of trying to learn. Like, I guess there's never really a safe spot to be, but kind of the safest spot where you'll have the most room to go high or go low, and then also kind of trying to see how the cars react when something happens and seeing where they go normally and all that kind of stuff. And then something that I do with my trainer is I actually wear they're basically sunglasses, but they cut your vision in and out. So just like if you're doing something simple as catching a ball, you're trying to guess where the ball is going to end up because you don't get to follow it the whole time.
Yeah.
There's different settings on how long it flashes and how fast it flashes and stuff like that. And that's something that we work on, and also your peripheral vision, seeing on just stuff on the corner of your eye. And that's something that we work on a lot. And then also
So improving your
have
prediction models, improving your peripheral vision.
right, exactly. And
Mm.
then just also making sure that you continue to concentrate and can perform at a high rate. So when you're tired, making sure that you still can concentrate is a
Yeah.
really big thing. And that's honestly, being able to concentrate is almost more important than your physical ability. Your mental is just as important, if not more important. In the Cup Series, our races can go anywhere from 3 to 5 hours, which is insanely a long time. And if you lose your concentration for 1 second, you can be in the wall and your race can be done. So that's the other really big thing. And one thing that I've actually learned by doing these things is actually sometimes at a high rate or higher heart rate, I actually perform better than a low heart rate.
Mm. I mean, I guess it's so interesting that racing can be correlated to life in its lessons, I'm sure. And that's where I want to kind of guide the question to is, how does racing affect the way you approach life, and what has it really taught you about life?
I mean, just the never give up and always keep digging. In my life, I kind of feel like I've gone through not everything. No one ever goes through everything, but I've gone through a lot. I guess you can say already at a young age, with my parents being divorced when I was young, to losing my mom when I was just 18, and then and just all the different racing troubles and things that you've gone through, and I mean, never give up. And sometimes that when you feel like you're at your worst times, something really good can happen. I mean, obviously in the racing world, the biggest thing is having the sponsors, and I've had some really good ones, and then sometimes they leave for really unexpected reasons and things that you would never expect to happen. And then the next minute, something really good might happen. You might get a new sponsor, or a team might just call you up and give you a ride. So I've kind of gone through it all, and just I never get my hopes up too high, but I never get my hopes too low, I guess you can say. I always kind of stay in a constant
Stable.
medium and just
Yeah.
try to never go crazy, and just always react the right way, I guess you can say. So
Yeah. So what does racing teach you about never go crazy? Nice.
yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, you've shared your journey throughout a lot of your life, you know, to your fans and other people. Can you share something with us right now that some people may not know about you?
Uh, I mean, just that I guess I'm kind of a shy guy, I guess, in the public eye a lot of times, but when I'm around my family and friends, I'm not so shy, I guess you can say, anymore.
Hmm.
And just that I view myself as a pretty hardworking person. And if you ask my wife or my sister or my dad, that my dad's kind of the same way, that we can never sit still. We always have to do something. And
Yeah.
in my genes, I'm a really skinny and tiny person, and my mom was, and my grandpa is too. And I think it has to do with that we're constantly on the move, and I'm always thinking about something, and always have to be doing something. I'm someone that can just really sit and relax for too long.
So actually, based on what you just said there, you said you actually train yourself to relax and not panic, right? So other than obviously studying the track, what do you do on a mental level to relax in the first place?
I mean, just
If it
one
goes
thing we
against
do
your
is
nature,
we
you
actually,
just mentioned
right.
it's the opposite of what you feel like doing most of the time.
Right. Well, I guess there's two different types of relaxing, right? There's the relaxing of just sitting there and watching TV and doing nothing, or just
Yeah.
staying calm. So I'm pretty good at staying calm, I guess you can say,
Yeah.
just from everything that I've gone through. But as far as just sitting there doing nothing, that's kind of something that I
Drives you insane.
can't do. Which, I mean, people that know nothing about racing, they'll say, "Well, you sit in a car and for 5 hours, so how can you do that?" But it's obviously something that's very different when you're in the car. It's people that just drive down the highway, they try to compare it to that, but it's obviously something that's very different, where you have to focus the entire time, and also on your body too. They just don't understand how it can be a physical sport, I guess you can say. But being in a race car is kind of like almost riding a bull. Sometimes it's not smooth at all. You're getting jerked all around, and you're just kind of hanging on the whole time.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Joey. Really appreciate you coming on the podcast and sharing your journey with the fans. And one last thing that I'd like to just say about Joey's cause is that if you haven't actually discussed organ donation with your families, go ahead and do that, because it's something that can save many, many lives, and not only save the lives of the people that you're donating to, but have a larger impact on the families and their loved ones as well. So thank you for coming on the show, Joey. It was lovely to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having us on.
Cheers.